problem solving, decision making, and creativity. The process of decision making. Supervisors' jobs are mostly decision making, such as what needs to be accomplished and who needs to be working in what department. Most go by what feels right to them or how they've always handled it. To improve the way you make a decision making, look at the rational model. First step is to identify the problem. Figure out what's wrong. In the example I used, we're going to use Beth. Beth is the office manager for a small business. She realizes she is working late more often than not. She notices how much she has stacked on her desk. Being the only person in the office, having to deal with all the paperwork, she starts thinking about what she can do to help her get done at her normal hours. Second step is identifying alternative solutions. Think about the possibilities. Beth has listed all that she gets done in a day. She thinks about hiring someone to help her out, talking to the owner about the duties to see if it could be lightened, or even a software that could help the process. Gather and organize facts. Gather and list all the information. Beth has looked at the pay scales for assistants. She has gathered information on software problems. She has talked to the owner about eliminating some of the work, but the owner says no. Then there's evaluate alternatives. It must have a positive impact. Beth has thought about software and how that it really isn't what she needed to help delegate her duties. She thought about having a second person in the office would get more things done and having someone to be there if she's out sick. She feels that she is convinced that she could convince the owner in hiring a second person for the job. Choose and implement the best alternative. How to decide what's best. It should be able to solve the problem, must be feasible, and costs should be very reasonable. Beth has thought about the assistant and how there are many good reasons to have one around. It will split her workload. It will help if she needs to call in sick and to have someone who knows the company. It will be nice to train someone to take her place if she decides to retire. Paying a full-time assistant will be way better than paying overtime each week. Get feedback. Be assured that the change is proving effective. Beth talks to the owner about hiring someone new to help in the office. The owner agrees that it is smart to have a second person in case of an emergency arises and Beth can't be there. He also feels like he can afford to take someone new on. Human compromises. Some supervisors don't have time or even want to deal with the decision-making process. Supervisors who are aware of compromises are more likely to use it. Here are some steps on compromises. Simplicity. Going by what you are used to. Bounded rationality. Choosing an alternative that meets minimum standards of acceptability. Subjective rationality. Relying on their institution or gut. Rationalization. Personal perspective. Recency syndrome, tendency to remember more easily than those events that have occurred recently. Then stereotyping. Guidelines for decision making. Consider the consequences. Respond quickly in a crisis. Inform the manager. Be decisive yet flexible. Avoid decision-making traps. Creativity is another step with problem solving. It's the ability to bring about something imaginative or new, to generate innovative or different alternatives from the past. The scientific method of decision-making. Watch for any signs of problems. define the problem, collect as information, search for a solution, collect information about alternatives, weigh the pros and cons, choose, plan, and put into action, and then follow up on it.